Hello, this is the Refugee Rex nonprofit organization. Our mission is to stop Europe's refugee crisis. More than 1 million refugees has escaped their countries because of war, violence, and other reasons to Europe. Most of the refugees are from Syria because of the civil war between the Prime Minister and his people. Refugees are also coming from Afghanistan because of the Taliban. There are also refugees coming from other countries like Iraq. This is a huge problem because the European Union did not expect a surge of refugees. This surge caused stress to the economy of Europe and its partners. Being in shock, some countries like Greece and Poland do not want any involvement in helping the refugees. Some countries come steps so many that other refugees have to illegally cross borders by gangs or bribing. Women will sometimes get raped by gangs to be able to cross the borders. Sometimes it was even death to cross the borders and bodies of water. Here are some videos.
In the summer of 2015, Europe experienced the highest influx of refugees since the Second World War. Why? The main reason is that Syria has become the world's top source of refugees. Syria is located in the Middle East, an ancient, fertile land settled for at least 10,000 years. Since the 1960s, it's been led by the Al-Assad family, who have ruled it as quasi-dictators until the Arab Spring happened in 2011, a revolutionary wave of protests and conflicts in the Arab world that toppled many authoritarian regimes. But the Assads refused to step down and started a brutal civil war. Different ethnicities and religious groups fought each other in changing coalitions. ISIS, a militaristic jihadist group, used the opportunity and entered the chaos with the goal to build a totalitarian Islamic caliphate. Very quickly, it became one of the most violent and successful extremist organizations on earth. All sides committed horrible war crimes using chemical weapons, mass executions, torture on a large scale, and repeated deadly attacks on civilians. The Syrian population was trapped between the regime, rebel groups, and the religious extremists. A third of the Syrian people have been displaced within Syria, while over 4 million have fled the country. The vast majority of them reside now in camps in the neighboring countries who are taking care of 95% of the refugees, while the Arab states of the Persian Gulf together have accepted 0 Syrian refugees, which has been called especially shameful by Amnesty International. The UN and the World Food Programme were not prepared for a refugee crisis on this scale. As a result, many refugee camps are crowded and undersupplied, subjecting people to cold, hunger, and disease. The Syrians lost hope that their situation will be getting better anytime soon, so many decided to seek asylum in Europe.
Nothing has captured this crisis like the picture that we began with last night. The 3-year-old Syrian boy who washed up, drowned on a Turkish beach. Today, Holly Williams learned the rest of his story. It's hard to watch, but it should be seen.
The little boy whose lifeless body was washed ashore now has a name. Aylan Kurdi was 3 years old when he lost his life crossing the Mediterranean Sea to Europe. His 5-year-old brother Galip and their mother also drowned in a desperate attempt to find a better life. Aylan's father, Abdullah, survived, and today he collected the bodies of his wife and young sons from the morgue. The waves were so high, and the captain panicked and jumped into the sea, he said. I took my wife and children in my arms, but they were all dead. They fled the Syrian town of Kobani, which was decimated when ISIS tried to seize it earlier this year, leaving nearly everyone there homeless. Abdullah's sister, Timi Kurdi, who lives in Vancouver, said she gave the family money to pay a human smuggler.
His wife told me on the phone a week ago, I'm so scared of the water. I don't know how to swim. If something happened.
Over 300,000 people have attempted the dangerous journey to Europe this year, and more than 2,000 have paid with their lives, including many other children whose names we don't know. But it's these images of Aylan Kurdi that have finally brought the tragedy home to people in Europe and pricked the conscience of European leaders. Abdullah Kurdi will cross back into Syria tomorrow to bury his wife and 2 young sons. And Scott, a friend of the family, told us they paid around $4,000 to be smuggled to Europe, but then did not have enough money to buy life jackets.
Holly Williams, thanks.
I can run outside without being scared. There was an airplane in Syria and they would always drop bombs trying to get us, but now I can just play outside and run and not be scared that I'm gonna get shot.